Hey guys, welcome back to the Eaton Homestead. Today's vlog is going to be a little bit different than what you are probably used to, as you can probably tell by the title. I am going to get a little bit personal on you, and if that is something that makes you uncomfortable or just something that you're not really interested in, feel free to tune back into the next one. We will be right back to our regularly scheduled homestead shenanigans and updates on our real estate investing projects. But today I just felt that it was important for me to take a minute and talk about what's really going on in our lives in the essence of being truly transparent and authentic. Getting personal like this is not something that comes naturally for me. I am generally a very private person. I tend to keep my feelings inside. It's pretty characteristic of who I am and has a lot to do with my anxiety because I don't express things well and I don't talk about things very much. So, that's something that I am working on myself, and I have found as I've gotten older that, talking and sharing is really important. It's important not only for me and my own mental, spiritual, emotional health, but for other people as well. It's important that we talk about the difficult things along with, the happy and joyful things in our lives. So with all that being said, the story that I have to share, I guess, is just that a few weeks ago, I thought that I was starting my period as usual. And after quite a few days went by, it's not normal for me to have bleeding for that long. Usually 3 or 4 days at the most, and then it's over. And it was going on 2 weeks at that point. So I, texted my best friend, who also happens to be a labor and delivery nurse, and, was really just texting to complain a little bit, just to say, isn't this so annoying? And I really didn't even think anything of it. But she said, you probably should take a pregnancy test. So I did, and it was positive, which was very confusing. And I went in to have my blood work done. What they asked me to do was have my blood work done twice, 2 days apart, so that they could monitor my HCG levels. So I went in to have my first blood draw done, and the level was 291 for my HCG hormone. And when I went back in 2 days later, I was fully expecting, the number to have gone back down, but it had jumped up to 881. So it had doubled each day the way that it's supposed to in a normal pregnancy. But at this point I was still bleeding. So I was just very confused as to what was going on. It's really hard to tell without more information. So we opted to go in for an ultrasound just to try and get a better idea as to what was going on. And I had my blood work done again 2 days later after that. My blood work had gone back down at that third draw, and the ultrasound showed, that there was no pregnancy taking place, that this was definitely a miscarriage happening. I was really nervous going into that ultrasound. At that point, when the numbers jumped back up, I was super confused because I couldn't understand why the numbers would be going up, but I would still be experiencing bleeding like this. And I didn't hold out a lot of hope. I think that everyone around me was maybe a little bit more hopeful than I was. But even with that said, it's hard not to dream a little bit. The first question that I keep getting whenever I am sharing this news with anyone is, were you trying? And the answer is no, we weren't really trying, but we weren't really not trying either, if that makes any sense. Nate and I were at a place where if it happened, that'd be great, but we weren't really trying for it to happen. We're very happy with, having 2 kids, but every child is a blessing. I love my children. I love being a mom. Becoming a full-time stay-at-home homeschool parent has reinforced that more than ever, as hard as some days can be. I really, really love it. And I've joked around a lot lately about, we should have more. And, I want to have 7 kids. And I don't really mean it. I don't really want to have 7 kids. I wasn't really wanting to have 3 kids, but I would have been overjoyed with another one. And so it's a really weird place to be in. When you're presented with the possible opportunity of something like that, the possible blessing of something like that, and then for it to sort of just be jerked back and forth, like maybe you're going to have it and maybe you're not. And it's weird to grieve something that you didn't even ask for, or like not want, but not want. This wasn't something that we were trying for, but it doesn't make it hurt any less. So I don't know. This whole thing has just been quite the roller coaster. Like I said, I was really nervous going into that ultrasound, not because I was hopeful that there would be a baby in there, although, Nate and I both said to each other that there was this tiny little piece of ourselves that was watching that screen, just hoping to see a little heartbeat, knowing full well that we wouldn't, but you still just tiny, tiny, tiny sliver of you hopes for it. And so we were both pretty, still sad not to see that and to, know that this is what's happening and it sucks. And I was really nervous about something being wrong because I still sort of feel like this is a really long time. I guess I just made this assumption in my mind that miscarriages happened quickly, that it was something that happened over the matter of hours or maybe days and not weeks. So this has been quite the eye-opener to me. I joked with Nate that before the ultrasound technician came back in, that I was just lying on that table staring up at that, hideous drop ceiling with the fluorescent lights. And I said to him, I hope you understand that the only thing going through my mind right now is baby goats, baby goats, baby goats, because this all sucks and it's just very heartbreaking. And that's the only thing that I'm like holding on to right now, is just really throwing myself back into the homestead and the things that I love that are all right here around me, and the things that I'm looking forward to, like getting baby goats in the spring. So, yeah, I don't know. This has just been a horrible, strange experience that we're still dealing with. If I look a little bit bedraggled, it's because I am. I have cried a lot over the last few days. But it is what it is. And it's hard to find like meaning in it. I don't know that there is any meaning. When we were talking with one of the nurse midwives, I think she almost wanted to say things happen for a reason. And I think she caught herself from saying that because it's honestly kind of hurtful. But I don't know. The only thing that I can really grasp out of this is, like I said at the beginning of this video, forcing myself to be a little bit more transparent, to live in not a glass house, but a house with more windows. And knowing that in sharing my experience, if we all share our experiences with each other, it can be something that's more normalized, especially when it comes to, pregnancy and infant loss. I know firsthand my best friend, who I'm sure will have no problem with me sharing this, lost her son at 26 weeks, and he was stillborn. And we miss him every day, and it was a really hard thing to go through and to watch your best friend go through. But his very short life has brought so much meaning to us, and affected so many people. The irony of all of this is that the day that I texted her to sort of complain about this was his birthday. So it was really weird to have the realization that I was having a miscarriage on the day that he was born, that he was stillborn. I couldn't quite understand that. I sort of felt like there was a part of me that kept thinking, well, this has to end well, because why? Why would that happen? Why would I come to this realization, this epiphany on this day of already grieving? Like, why would I need to add more grieving to this day? But I think that it's giving me perspective. perspective that even being someone who has a best friend who has dealt with infertility, has dealt with, pregnancy and infant loss, as close as I am to those things, until you go through it yourself, you have a hard time truly understanding someone else's experience. And I think that's why it's important for us to share when we can and when we're able, about these things, that we just realize that we're not alone. I had these assumptions about miscarriages. I had these assumptions that because I have had 2 healthy pregnancies, that it wouldn't happen to me, that if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. And that's just not the case. And we don't know why they happen, but they do, and they really suck and they really hurt. And I think we just need to be able to be there for each other through those things. Thanks for taking the time to listen to my story. I hope that it, brings you some peace if this is something that you have gone through as well. I think it's just really important for us to know that we're not in it alone, that we are together in this. We all grieve differently and in our own way. I'm feeling a lot better today. Today is day 19 of this entire experience, but who's counting? And, my parents have the kids today. Nate went to work at our investment property, and I just let him know I can't do it today. This is the first day that I really have the opportunity to be alone. And as an introvert, that is something that I struggle with a lot in being a full-time, homestead parent, is that I'm never really alone. My kids are always there. My husband, gets home from work. We're together a lot, which is wonderful and such a blessing. But as an introvert, it's really hard to find time that I'm truly alone. Even when I jump in the shower and, my oldest can watch my youngest, I'm never truly, disconnected. Even this morning, waking up, the first thought when I open my eyes is, I got to go get the kids. And then I realize that they're not here. They had a sleepover last night, and I can roll over and go back to sleep for a little bit longer. Having time truly alone with my own thoughts to just meditate and pray and think on things and rest and rejuvenate a little bit has been a really good thing for me today, and definitely what I needed. I know that this isn't over yet, and I'm not out of the woods. I mentioned that ultrasound was very nerve-wracking to me because I was afraid of needing, interventions in this whole thing. I was afraid of needing to take medication. I was afraid of having to have a DNC, which don't ask me what that stands for, but it is a medical procedure. It's an operation, and I really don't want to have to go through that. I have many friends who have had to undergo that procedure, and it's not fun. I'm still just hopeful that it's not going to be what is required for this to all end healthily for me. But we'll see. As my BFF Kate said, you're not out of the woods until you're out of the woods. And until this is all done and until my blood work comes back at 0, I have to continue going back to have my blood work drawn. And hopefully the numbers just continue to drop on their own without needing any medical help with that. So thanks for taking the time to listen to my story. I hope it was helpful to you, or maybe to someone that you know. We'll be right back to the more fun stuff later. I just wanted to take the moment to share what we've been going through, what I've been going through, to be, real with you and with myself as well, not trying to keep stuff in and hide it, I guess. I don't want to hide it. We don't talk about these things enough. They shouldn't be taboo subjects. And the only way for us to fix that is to share. So this is me sharing. So thanks so much for taking the time to watch this and listen to my story. I hope that it is helpful to you or to someone that you might know. We're all in this together. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.